Coming up on this episode of The Village Idiom.
I heard that there was the follow-up to it. The early bird gets the worm, but the worm that sleeps in doesn't get eaten.
Dum dum da da, Village Idiom.
Hello and welcome to The Village Idiom.
We are a podcast that takes a popular saying, takes a shallow but hopefully comedic dive into its usage, its origins, etc., but we'll also use it just to hang our otherwise directionless conversation on. My name is Jurassic Mark.
And I am Skinny.
And between us is...
Wonder Bread.
Which makes no sense. We should have had him on the outside.
That's good, but there's got to be two of me.
Wonder Bread, thank you for coming today, man. It's great to have you.
Thank you
Where
for having me.
Where do you get your nickname from?
My nickname? Well, it was given to me in elementary school because my friend group, I was the whitest.
You were the whitest of your friend group?
But the thing is, all my friends were white. So I was the whitest.
Still the whitest.
That's
That's
not good on a few levels.
But the thing is that I use that as all my gamer stuff now, and so like
Everything is Wonder Bread.
everything's just W Bread or Wonder Bread.
That's awesome.
When the ones that are W Bread, is that because Wonder Bread was already taken?
No, because I can't fit in the
Oh,
under.
too many
under.
too many characters or whatever.
Yeah, it'll be like Wonder. It'll be like Wond R Bread, and I'm like, gotta get that E in there, so I'll just do W Bread.
You could have gone with Oneater Bread.
there you go.
Oneater Bread.
Oneder.
Careful of the corner, because Oneater Bread is there.
Do you remember that movie? Yeah, I'm sure you do. That thing you do.
Did you ever see That Thing You Do?
Only on days that end with Y.
If it was the gist was that it was trying to follow careers of musicians and whatnot that were one-hit wonders, and so they were a one-hit wonder. But when he read it out, it was one.
Yeah, and
O-N-E.
in that era,
And he was reading it out as, and it's the Oneaters.
including the Beatles, is actually a really corny name. They always took some musical term, like Beatles is B-E-A-T, so a beat turned into Beatles. And there's tons of groups like that. A cappella groups now are the only ones that do that, including Pentatonics. Biggest a cappella group ever. Takes pentatonic, musical term. It's 5 of them. But yeah, it was Beatles, the Bee
Tonic is, like,
Gees,
good for you.
it was always the something, the Chordettes,
The Oneaters.
the Oneaters.
Oneaters.
That's the Wonders. So there you go. There's a good Wonder Bread. But yeah.
One, it can be spelled O-N-E in case you still missed it.
Let us count the ways we can spell.
It's just how it's just how it goes. It's so good having you.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Good.
very
Yeah.
excited.
It's fun actually having a pro gamer join us for
gamer.
the stream.
Yeah, because I'm no longer... The last time I was a gamer, it was Kaboom on Atari.
Kaboom.
Do you remember Kaboom?
No.
Kaboom
Is
was...
it like a sub-hunting game?
No, Kaboom was... You had the dial joystick on the Atari. You know, it was like a spinning wheel.
Sure.
And all you had was you were catching the bombs that a villain on the top of the wall was dropping on you, and it got sped up faster and faster, and you're like back, left and right.
How was he able to light that many bombs? This makes no sense.
This makes no sense. Continuity
It's
Atari.
But your game of choice is Smash Brothers.
One of many, yes, but that is my go-to game.
What would you
for
say
sure.
is your like highest gaming accomplishment? A couple things that you enjoy about the Smash.
Well, I won a tournament at my college.
That's fun.
Which is great because I'd never lost a game.
So you won like 100%.
I didn't win. I demolished everybody.
Wow.
I did not hold back. I like the trophy was an amiibo of a character of a Pokemon Squirtle. And it was just spray painted gold. And I was like, I want this. So I didn't hold back. I went through everybody.
I want this.
Yeah.
Step aside.
I saw this. And
It's so stupid,
and
but I want
Yeah,
it.
no one had really, this was my first year. So no one knew how good I was. And so I went Donkey Kong. And I did just,
Okay.
I just clapped
I take back
people.
Kaboom. Donkey Kong.
Never go full Donkey Kong. But you've
So
played.
like actually drew a crowd. Like did it
Yeah,
get to that level?
there was like 20, 30 people there, and it was like I would just go through the different the different rounds, they're like, if you don't have your controller, you can borrow one of ours. I was like, oh, I got my controller. I'm ready to go.
Also gold plated.
I just took a shot of Red Bull.
Hello, new kid. Do you want to borrow a joystick?
I'm okay. I got my own. Thank you, though. 3 stocks.
And then, but you also had a chance to play like actual pro levels.
Yeah. When I played on the Wii U, there was you could go online and you would just partner you up with a random person, and I happened to get partnered up against, at the time, the number 1 player in the world.
Against or with?
Against the number 1 player in the world.
Okay.
And like compared to him, I'm trash. Like, I'm garbage. Right. And so it was like I was super nervous.
Don't feel bad. That's the same as me and Michael Jordan in basketball. Compared to him,
are you an elite basketball player?
No, I said compared to Michael Jordan.
Compared. Okay,
fair enough. But you still took some stocks on him.
Yeah, I played him. I played as like the cheap character. I played the character that I was practicing. I was like, oh, this character is really fun to play, and so I played her and then he just went some random character, and I won 2 games off of him. But he was like talking with the Chad at the time, and he's like, hold on, I gotta focus now. I was
Wait, did you just say talking with the Chad?
Chat.
Oh, chat.
So he's chatting.
I'm like,
he's a streamer.
More saying
talking with Chad.
I'm feeling very like, he's all talking with the Chad. I'm like, whatever, Squirtle.
Yo, can we get an F in the Chad, please?
I'll put full Donkey Kong on you. Hype it up. F in the chat, please.
F with Chad, please.
So that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. So now I just play a lot with my good buddy Ethan, and I hope to enter more tournaments later this year.
But you got into that part of things very earlier on in the.
I was just gonna ask, when do you remember video games the earliest?
I remember, I have a pretty poor memory, so I only have.
Were you passed a controller at the hospital on your way out?
His barn.
I came out with the Wii controller.
He brought his own. Of course he did.
That's not a Wii.
When the doctor. Look at this wee lad. No,
that's not a wee lad. I can remember having a Nintendo 64. Mm-hmm. I remember one time we had a couple games. I remember that we had the old the 007, the James Bond game.
Were you only allowed to play with paintball?
GoldenEye. No, I was only able to. I think
you were allowed to play. Period, and you just snuck in and.
I was about to say I saw him put it in a drawer because he's like, this game's, you're not old enough to play this game.
Right. First person shooter.
So I
right.
went in there and I just took it, but I didn't really know how to play it still, so I just had it in there, just left on the floor, and he's like, I swear this was in my drawer earlier. Mm-hmm. you're like. I
think I finally figured it. I think you got a tap for that one.
Yes, we would, the rubber spatulas, I call them taps now. Did that in high school once. Grade 8, we're in cooking class, and they're like, does anyone know what this is called?
I'm like,
tap. I'm like, it's called a tap stick. And they're like, no, it's a rubber spatula. I'm like,
I've been lied to.
Not at my house.
This is for cooking?
I go home crying. Just, Dad, you lied.
Lied to my house.
Double tap.
You sit on a throne of lies.
So anytime I'm cooking in the kitchen, I have a rubber spatula. I'm just like having flashbacks.
One tear.
Are you crying because of the onions? Just the childhood memories.
Okay, that's good. Getting back things to the very beginning. So what probably brings us to today's idiom.
Well, so I was so caught up in all this. Okay, I'll give you a little something. Here we go.
Colonel, get up. What? We're taking off. We're gonna go shoot up an armored column. Let's go. Early bird gets worm.
Early bird gets a worm.
Listen here, Tay.
It was a little glitchy, but we got it twice in that one. Early bird gets the worm.
Early bird gets the worm.
Which works great.
That sounded like Mike from Better Call Saul.
No, that was 1984, Red Dawn.
Oh, Red Dawn. So funny.
Yeah, no, Red Dawn. The Colonel is kind of a no-name, but I think that was Emilio Estevez waking him. But that works great. Finding out that you are good at what you do because you started early.
I started early, but I do not wake up early.
I don't think there's anything I started as a wee lad that I'm still doing that would qualify me as being
rapping.
Nope.
Maybe.
I didn't come out of the womb rapping.
He's come out of the womb like, this is the story all about I got turned upside down.
Like to tell you a story. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think that's really cool. Anytime you hear about some amazing musician or I was singing in church when I was 3 years old, or somebody who's I was golfing, Tiger Woods golfing at like 3 with his dad. Like that totally plays into Early Bird Gets the Worm. The actual definition that I jotted down anyway is being first improves the chances of success. So being the first improves your chances as success. Which of course is the literal version of this. The early bird, first bird out on the grass, is going to actually be the one that gets to eat that day.
Then there's
in this case, early bird gets to set up the podcast equipment.
It got me thinking in that whole early bird and gets the worm. It brought me to like thinking about rotting fruit and like that classic image of like
worm,
the worm in the apple. And then it got me thinking about rotting fruit took me to fermentation. And so that was my roundabout trip as I was thinking about this over the last few days. And so I brought in some stuff that I've been fermenting at home.
Oh, this is a thing people do.
Yeah, home fermentation. And so...
Which also translated left out on the counter too long.
Ish. Yeah, it's more controlled than that.
So done properly, this is one of the healthiest things you can include in your diet.
Right, people say it's really healthy for you to have fermented things. But they say all sorts of crap that I don't pay attention to.
Okay,
so.
Pause right there because
Sure.
I want to hear all this. But when you talked about a worm in a fruit, I have a distinct memory as a kid coming into the kitchen. My mom had a fish out on the counter that she'd just opened, like store-bought fish opened. And I said, Mom, fish eat worms, right? And she's like, I'm picturing you go fishing, you put a worm on the hook, right?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, if you go fishing. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense then. She's like, why? Oh, because there's a worm on the fish on the counter. And I just see it splayed open, and there's a worm crawling across it. And so she loses her mind and throws it in the garbage, obviously. I'm like, oh, isn't that just the worm that they used to catch it?
What would you like say to the store at the time? Or did you just bring back a fish?
So she actually did go back to the store, and I don't remember the whole story, but they're like, yeah, no problem, refund or replacement. They said raw fish, that's actually more common than you think.
That's disgusting.
It's not the worm that they used to catch it, obviously, but...
it was an extra person.
There's your extra protein.
Yeah,
That's nasty.
Sorry, continue fermentation. I really want to hear about this.
I did a couple of things. One, because I know you're particularly into it, I fermented my own hot sauce. and so I brought you a sampler for...
So is hot sauce typically fermented?
Well, you can do it in a variety of ways, but the stuff I was reading suggested that fermented hot sauce was best. And so I got my Serrano chilies and got them all cut down and blended and fermented after...
My mouth is watering.
I did 2 days. So it doesn't have an insane amount of heat, but it's got a little something to let you know you're alive. So if you're like up to it, would you consider taking a shot of this on the tongues?
Right now? Yeah, totally, 100%.
I tried some of it.
It's a pop-top bottle, one of those little press on one side.
Is it?
Yeah.
Or you can open it up. Sure.
I tried some of it last night. It's like the tangy hot. It's like a Frank's where it's like...
Oh, ASMR.
Wow.
That's not what I was meaning.
I can smell it from here.
That is delicious.
You like it?
Like legit delicious.
So this is the last Village Idiom podcast.
My mouth is on fire. Not burning. It just was a lot at once.
What?
It was a lot at once.
Yeah, what I found was...
You drank a quarter of the bottle.
I had a spoonful, and I was like, I could feel the burn. I was like,
So tell me what's in that. There's something sweet. Is there sweet?
There is no sweet.
I was saying it's like a Frank's, Frank's tangy type thing.
It's a half lie. I did...
Worm?
No, it has maybe 2/3 of it is a sweet pepper.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a sweet pepper. But the other part is all sweet chilies, and the other one is the Serrano chilies.
There's definitely kick to it, but a good amount.
But it's not like blow your face off.
No. You could keep going with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's delicious.
It's got a nice punch to it.
And what's the thickness to it? Is it just like pulverized everything? It almost has a texture of mustard.
So that I was advised you can strain it, and so it is just the pulp of the...
I love that.
Of the chili.
Yeah.
So you can go either way. Some people will strain it out, so just the juice, or people say, or you can just leave it as a...
So did you follow a recipe or did you wing this?
Is that on all recipes?
It's not an all... It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid of one I found online with some things that I enjoy for some punch.
Because you know what the next challenge is.
What?
One of my favorite things, my fridge door, the inside door of my fridge is just hot sauces. Like, there's got to be 20
Yeah, I knew you
hot
like that.
sauces.
That's why.
The creative names that they have for some are inappropriate, but
Sure.
like this needs a name. I got to think about it.
Yeah, it's not quite Devil's Throat.
No, it's more like
It's like sweet with it's like
it's
tangy.
not like Number of the Beast burning both ways, but maybe Neighbor of the Beast.
Neighbor of the Beast.
Is it the neighbor side by side or across?
Exactly.
Kitty corner to the beast. Yeah.
Just call it
So cold
667.
Nice. Oh,
That's awesome.
Well, funny that when we were talking about Early Bird, something that popped into my head was the Early Bird from the old McDonald Land commercials. Do you remember the bird?
Yeah, of course.
Is actually called Birdie the Early Bird, and never just Birdie,
Interesting.
never just Early Bird.
Doesn't he have like
Bird-
aviator glasses?
Yeah,
and-
aviator. It's a girl. So I looked it up. I'm like, when was this? And so McDonald Land cookies, McDonald Land, all their ads were always like the characters, right? Grimace, Hamburglar, everybody. And they introduced Birdie the Early Bird in 1980, and
That's
first
interesting.
female character in. Possibly the only female character in McDonald Land.
What kind of misogyny is McDonald's
I know.
doing?
I looked up first Birdie the Early Bird commercial, watched the whole thing like this.
Is there not a female?
Parcel comes down from space. They all said, maybe this egg needs love, and they wrap it with pillows and love. And then Birdie the Early Bird is born, and now McDonald's has breakfast.
Oh, that's the tie-in?
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
clever.
that's
Birdie the
interesting.
Early Bird introduced McDonald's
That's
breakfast.
crazy. I never knew that.
Me neither. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I thought McDonald's had been doing breakfast since
So-
the beginning.
Birdie the Early Bird, gotta say the whole name,
What year was it again?
1980.
That's funny. Okay.
Birdie the Early Bird was voiced by Russie Taylor, who is just a monster in voiceover work, is the voice of Minnie Mouse,
Wow.
really?
is the voice of Strawberry Shortcake, Baby Pac from the Pac-Man cartoons, Pebbles from the Flintstones, Martin Prince from The Simpsons.
Wow.
Yeah,
So I'm imagining-
and like 100 other names that you would recognize. On some of the Disney stuff, it'll say she is Minnie Mouse and Huey and Dewey all in the same episode. And
Louie,
yeah, like 6 or 7 voices in the same
crazy.
episode.
So she's like the female, like Mel Blancs.
Yeah, she has since passed, but she was a
Interesting.
So imagine the voice is like super high pitched because most of those characters have like a very
except for
high...
Martin from The Simpsons. So Martin is the other like
The friend.
super smart kid always competing against
Yeah,
Lisa.
yeah.
And so she did 31 seasons of Martin on
Wow.
on The Simpsons. Yeah,
Put that in a resume.
That's pretty crazy.
I think she did.
I heard that there was the follow-up to it. The early bird gets the worm, but the worm that sleeps in doesn't get eaten.
I have another version with a follow-up, but maybe we'll get into that when we get into the details.
Okay, yeah, maybe we should jump into some origins. Where did this
right.
thing actually come from?
I said some words, where'd they go? Where'd they go? No one can know. I turned around, I looked behind. Those words came from another mind. Origins.
No one does air ukulele like you.
Does it count if it's is it still air if you're holding the actual
No, you're just
instrument?
not. You're just not playing.
You're just not playing. It's like lip syncing. Okay, yeah. So let's get into the origins. This was more interesting than I thought. When you first looked it up, a lot of sites, a lot of sources, erroneously, don't get to use that word a lot.
Wow, good word.
Say that it's first recorded in John Ray's A Collection of English Proverbs in 1670, 1678, and it says, "The early bird catcheth the worm," worm with an E. But as you can tell from the title of the book, A Collection of English Proverbs, it was already in existence. Like, he didn't create it, we know that, but everybody says it was first recorded. But if you dig a little deeper, 'tis not true, my friends. English historian William Camden, go ahead and say that name. William
Bill Camden.
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 William Camden. He published Remains Concerning Britain in the 17th century. And so The Early Bird Catch the Worm appears in the 5th edition of this book in 1636, and this is where it gets super interesting from here. So here's a sampling of they have a list of proverbs in this book, and so here's 5 from that list. Thou thoughts be free from toll, whatever. Trust is the mother of deceit. The gray mare is the better horse. I have no idea what that idiom is supposed to mean.
Mare?
Well,
Is that like another? Is that like another animal?
I would say the older mare is more like mature and established.
Oh, maybe
and,
that's
and
what it
trustworthy.
is. The lame tongue gets nothing, and the early bird catcheth the worm. So the first edition of Remains Concerning Britain by Camden was in 1605. So again, you'll find some sites that say it's from 1605. Also incorrect. The first edition didn't have a list of proverbs at all in it. The second, actually the first and second didn't have a list of proverbs. The third edition, which was 1623, suddenly had the list of proverbs added to the book, but not this one.
Interesting.
So it still wasn't in the book, even though they added this list of proverbs. Same with the fourth. It was the fifth edition that the early bird idiom appeared in the fifth edition. So here's the best part. So William Camden, who?
William Camden.
Thank you. William Camden writes this book, which the fifth edition only includes the idiom, the early bird catcheth the worm. That was in 1636. William Camden himself died in 1623. So he gets the credit, but it was somebody else who posthumously put it in his book
Interesting.
in the fifth edition. So who, we don't know, but he's getting the credit
Still don't know.
for the book.
He came back from the dead.
Yeah, exactly.
William Cam Zombie.
So I just thought that was interesting that he gets the credit, but technically it wasn't in print until... But even still, it's kind of like if they're listing proverbs, he didn't invent it. It's not a list of William Camden inventions. It's proverbs, but it's still the oldest reference to it, posthumously added to his book.
Have you heard this follow-up to it? It's the early bird
Come on, you can do it.
gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese.
Yes. So I've got that in here too. Did you look up any of the etymology to that?
No, what do you think of that?
The second mouse gets the cheese, so the first mouse gets eaten.
No, close.
Close.
So early bird gets the worm. That's one saying.
Okay.
The second mouse.
The second mouse
Who gets the cheese?
gets the cheese
Why does the first mouse not get the cheese?
because the cat got him first.
Where is the cheese?
Somewhere.
If you were dealing with a mouse and had to put the cheese somewhere.
Yeah. Or you put outside its hole with a trap.
With
a trap.
So the first mouse.
Always dead.
There it is. Early bird might get the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. So this one is also interesting. I found some sites that say early bird catches the worm is the short version of this, but the truth is this longer version didn't come out until 1994.
So I've something more directed at you in 3-person gameplay, or that sort of scenario. How does this work with the second mouse gets the cheese?
This would be somebody did. If you're playing with 3 players, somebody did all the work of building up damage, hitting them a lot, just for one player. So
and then gets killed.
yeah, and so that person dies, and then the other player who's just waiting, has not taken damage, has not done anything, just comes in and just takes the kill from them.
Right.
That would be the analogy. That
And
someone
some
did,
games you can pick up what they lose, right?
yeah, so that would be like someone who did all the work, and then someone else just to come in and take the kill. Basically, that would be that analogy.
It's frustrating, right?
It's basically being like, hey, you basically it's like if you did a super long order at McDonald's, right?
I'm interested to see where this goes.
Me too. So you do a super long order at McDonald's, right? You're ordering ASMR.
Okay.
That's for the YouTube watchers only.
Super long order at McDonald's.
You do a super long order at McDonald's. You order all this food, and then you pay for it, right? And you're waiting there, and then someone else takes your food.
What?
You did all the work. He went out and did all the work.
I could tell at the beginning it had an interesting ending.
Let me bring this back around because the first recorded early bird catches the worm, second mouse gets the cheese was in February 1995, and they call it an anti-proverb, which appeared in the Usenet news group rec.games.video.arcade.
Oh.
Posted just in the forum, posted by David Jakovac. and it was the first freestanding early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. Here's something really cool. If you Google it and go to images, it's meme after meme after meme that says, quote by Stephen Wright. Not true.
Funny.
Really?
But
Comedian Stephen Wright.
yeah.
What was the guy's name again?
David Jakovac.
Is that like the neighbor to Jack Black?
Yes. It's his second cousin.
Twice removed.
Okay, I know we're running out of time,
Well,
but
I do. I wanted to finish off
Okay.
from a previous thing on ferment. This is a multi-tiered tieback. So we're talking a little bit about fermentation and the rotting of things and the worm in the apple. We were talking a few episodes back about your love of ginger beer.
yeah.
And so I've been working on ginger beer.
Making one?
Since that day.
No.
Doing some homemade ginger beer. And it's
quite the process,
It's
eh?
harder than I thought it was going
Totally.
to
It
get
really
it going.
is.
And so I've just had some terrible ones. But try this one out. This is my
Out of here.
my
I thought
first
this
act-
was, I
this is
wasn't
my
paying
first-
attention. I thought it was just more hot sauce.
No, this is my first go at ginger beer. So you can describe the whole experience.
You gotta push the. There you go.
Have you tried it?
This
Differing ones.
is this the first batch or the second batch?
No, I haven't. The second batch isn't ready.
Oh, that's different.
It's different. It's okay.
My first thought is not carbonated enough
It's not carbonated enough because the
because
fermentation.
it's natural carbonation,
Yes,
fermentation,
yes,
right?
yes. Carbonation by fermentation.
But the flavor is delicious.
Yeah, it's like you got like the ginger taste, but not the kick.
My preferred ginger beer. That's really good. That's really good. Like it's lingering. My preferred ginger beer is like also burns all the way down. Like some are just like drinking acid, and that's my favorite.
That hot sauce goes
But the
right along
flavor
with
is
it.
fantastic.
Flavor's pretty good. I got some ideas for the next batch to kind of I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
As it becomes ready. So that's the end of my fermentation.
Like you hit it out of the ballpark, man. These are
really good.
delicious. I'm keeping the hot sauce.
You
though.
can keep the hot sauce. Yeah,
hot sauce.
This is a good.
Okay, I know this is going to be a long episode, but I can't not mention this. So it does pay to be an early bird, especially when you're actually a bird. So there's a study. Listen, there's a study on the circadian rhythms of species of songbirds. Now,
Okay.
this is a family-friendly show.
Right.
So keep it to yourself as I continue.
Okay.
So they did a study on these songbirds. These songbirds are called the great tit. And they're found, so they did the study on the male birds, and the male birds that slept in were in for a big surprise. The ones who slept in wound up inadvertently caring for offspring that weren't their own when they woke up. And so what the study did is put melatonin in half of these male birds to
The
make them
drugged birds?
Yeah, to make it.
Who has the time to drug birds?
How do you catch a bird?
They put in this hormone to make them sleep, and it threw them off because they typically wake up 22 minutes before sunrise, and this confused them, and they would wake up 12 minutes before sunrise. So their counterparts who weren't drugged woke up like 10 or 11 minutes earlier than them. In that 10 or 11 minutes, those birds would sleep with their mates.
Oh, crazy.
Or mate with their mates.
Wow.
And so just that little bit. Songbirds.
That's just way to start your day, I guess. Like within 10 minutes? Like
I know.
I guess there's
So-
no getting coffee when you're a bird.
So the
they're
great-
not getting the worm.
These great tits are socially monogamous. So
Interesting.
they nest together, they raise their offspring together, but they do mate elsewhere if that happens. And so more than half of the sleeper inners ended up raising the average of 2 offspring that weren't theirs, and the ones who weren't drugged had less offspring
I'm just curious.
in their own nests.
I'm curious what your search history must look
No,
like.
I'm curious
Yeah.
on the
Not good.
scientists that are just saying they're being like, you know, what'd be interesting if we drugged half of these birds and just see what happens.
So they're they
sitting around.
were studying the circadian rhythms, but the ones who slept in had their
gonna
their
give
buddies
melatonin to birds.
mating with their wives.
That's weird.
And they would end up on average having 2 new birds in their nest as they raise. So you sleep in, you wake up with 2 extra great tits in your nest, and so you can't sleep in.
I think of this like when I think of the early bird gets the worm, I think of like Black Friday type sales where people will line up
Oh, that's
for
a
like
good point.
for like a week outside of like stores
First
like
one
Apple
there, yeah,
or things
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, because you usually get like a free like an iPhone 10 or whatever, right? And I remember I saw this video of this lady who had like a couple $1,000 cash, and so she just like the day of, she just walks to the front of the line. It's like, I'll pay like $1,000 whatever for your spot. And so she gets the spot, right? The guy just walks out of the line and then just goes to like the back, and then they all walk into the store, right? And this would have been, I think the footage just looked pretty old, so it's probably like 10 years ago or so. And so they're getting all the phones and stuff, and it's like then they had this rule that you can only buy one phone at a time, but she had like $5,000 in cash or whatever, so she thinks she's gonna buy all these phones and products
and sell them or whatever.
But then she only got one, and I was like,
so she spent an extra $1,000 to get one, but she did get one.
But the thing is she was probably thinking of buying all this stuff and then reselling it or having it all for herself.
So the truth there, though, is she was paying to be the early bird, but the guy who was actually the early bird got $1,000.
Yeah. So regardless.
So he's still the early bird that got the worm.
Regardless.
Now his phone is free whenever he gets it.
Regardless, the early bird always gets the worm.
Here we go.
That's good. Okay, we're bringing it all together. We got to watch our time here.
Yep.
We got to dig into the end and do some riddlings. Tell us a little bit about what those are.
Well, Riddling is a game we like to play that it starts with two-part trivia-based questions, and it requires a two-part but overlapping answer. So, for example, last week's idiom was, don't bite the hand that feeds you. And we left, for all our legitimate children out there, we left you with this one. Preceding That Feeds You is a dystopian novel by Margaret Atwood. So the wording of this confused everyone.
Is it Bite the Handmaid's Tale?
Yep.
Is that it?
Don't bite the handmaid's tale.
Don't bite.
So yeah, the tricky part was preceding that feeds you. People were just like, I don't understand what you're saying. Preceding that feeds you. But if you knew the idiom we've been talking about for 30 minutes.
Should have listened to the full time.
So yeah, people did get it, but there was more questions than answers.
Come on, Karen.
So we're gonna do do some today. We'll go back and forth. So why don't we see? Don't look at our notes. See if you can answer these.
Okay.
You know you've heard these before, right? So
yeah.
you're
hopefully
you're gonna be great.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go first.
Go.
Sorry, I got a bit of a tickle going on. All right. Head-to-head Nintendo fighting with Hansel and Gretel's author.
Oh. Head-to-head, like Nintendo fighting. So what am I guessing?
So you break
things.
It's really two questions.
Yeah.
So
head-to-head.
You can divide it in half. Head-to-head Nintendo fighting is probably what?
Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros.
Do you know who wrote Hansel and Gretel?
Somebody with a hand.
Somebody with a hand.
Yes.
Somebody with a hand.
I thought you were going to say Hans Christian Andersen.
No. Dr. Seuss.
I'm gonna guess because I don't actually know who wrote it, but I'm gonna guess it's Super Smash Brothers Grimm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Super Smash Brothers Grimm.
Yeah. Sorry, that was my second guess.
Okay, maybe
someone who has a hand.
Maybe you'll get this one because this is kind of fun.
You need it.
Who Gets the Worm? Voiced by Russie Taylor. Who gets the worm?
The bird. But the bird.
Which bird?
The bird is the word. The yellow bird.
Not the yellow bird. Do you remember this week's idiom?
Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
That was last week.
The early bird gets the worm.
Right. So who gets the worm?
So the bird gets the
No.
worm. It's early.
Yes.
So it'd be early yellow big bird.
The early birdie.
Oh, wait. It'd be
The full name.
Tweety. Wait. Early birdie wordy QWERTY.
The early birdie, the early bird.
Oh, funny. It was Birdie.
Oh, Birdie the early bird.
Birdie the early bird.
That's like my third guess.
The early birdie.
The early birdie, the early bird.
That's the early birdie, the early bird.
The early birdie, the early bird.
Man, people in the 80s had great English.
All right, you got another one?
Sitcom of a man who lives in a hotel with his brother Randy.
I'd rather eat Randy.
What? Say it again.
Sitcom of a man who lives in a hotel with his brother Randy.
That sounds like one thing.
Watching. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, you're not done.
No.
Oh.
I'm still working on it.
Oh my gosh.
Man who lives in a hotel with his brother Randy.
So I see that I've written a word twice, which goofs up and gives part away. Let me adjust on the fly. Sitcom of a man who lives in a hotel with his brother Randy. To be today's idiom.
The early bird gets the worm is today's answer. So something the early bird.
So the early brother.
Randy lives in a hotel with his brother. Faulty Towers. What's a hotel sitcom? Is this A Sweet Life?
I was gonna say, is it the Sweet Life with Randy and Brandy?
A Sweet Life with Zach and Cody.
Yeah.
They call me
Delilah.
They call me Early Bird Gets the Worm.
Does he live in a hotel?
Yeah.
They call me Early Bird.
I needed to rework that beginning. My bad.
They call me Early Bird Gets the Worm.
These are challenging today.
I have 0 points right now. I'm
Okay,
sucking.
well, I've got one
okay.
more, but try not to answer. We're going to leave it for everybody else.
You can reach us at to give us your answer on Instagram, the.village.idiom. Drop us an instant message there, DM us. Via email at thevillageidiompodcast@gmail.com, or whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter at 3 Minutes Gone.
Perfect. Here's our last riddle link for everyone. Send in your messages. Send in your answers. Let us know if you've ever
Been up early and got
the worm
first.
All right, here it is.
The worm.
If you ever woke up early with worms.
You got something early.
They do that.
You ever wake up early with worms?
Don't they check like people for like if worms
Like,
with like a flashlight in your
In the
butt
middle of the night? Yeah, in the dark.
flashlight in your butt at night?
Yep.
Yeah.
Early bird gets the worm.
This must be something you guys probably did. That wasn't me. I've never heard of this.
Oh, you were there.
Your day will come.
You were sleeping. Here we go. Credited posthumously for writing The Early Bird Catches the Worm in the NBA.
Well, that's
One more time. Credited posthumously for writing The Early Bird Catches the Worm in the NBA.
that's so funny.
I don't know.
Well, it's been fun putting today's episode together. Thanks so much for joining us, Wonder Bread.
Thank you guys
Seriously.
for having me.
It's been a good time. Love your input. It's all a good thing. I am Skinny.
I am Jurassic. They're songbirds and they're spectacular, Mark.
And these are the Village Idioms. So moronic.
That's 3 minutes gone.